and we can have a QSO during daylight hours. I wonder what you're running here, G3 LEO by?
G3 LEO, G6 TBJ returning. Yeah, okay, Gerald. Sort of steady 5 over 9 there, so all copied. Running a DX100 now. I've recently acquired quite an out-of-output DX100, so I put that into service at the moment. I did have a homebrew setup. Interesting talking about homebrew, because Mike's got a homebrew system he was working just now, but I've got a modulator and a separate transmitter. But anyway, I've sort of pensioned those off temporarily, and I've gone back to. I've now got the opportunity to use a built-up transmitter, so I've got the Heathkit DX100. So quite pleased with that. But I've got other bits of homebrew kit. I've been playing around with sideband. I've got a homebrew sideband setup, which is also one half of the AM setup I had before. So it's all musical chairs in the shack. So different bits of kit being used for different purposes. But on the DX100, 100 watts, so not doing too badly. From a very pleasant and uncharacteristically sunny Bristol. Back to you, G3 LEO from G6 TBJ.
G6 TBJ, G3, I'll just get back on frequency. That's better. Yeah, well, great. Typical, BBC quality from a DX100. They're lovely things. Did you say you got 2 of them, Ian? And are they recent acquisitions? Because you must go to places or see adverts that I totally missed. It's been years since I've seen a decent bargain like that. G3 LEO buy for G6 TBJ.
G6 TBJ returning. Okay, Gerald. I just got the 1 unit. I've forgotten the call sign of the chap that I bought it from. There's a gentleman by the name of Ted. But I can't remember his call sign at the moment. He's sort of over sort of Basingstoke direction, and he's sort of downsizing the shack. And I actually went over with my mate Justin, GW0FZY, who's purchased an ART13. So he's got himself an ART13, and I got myself a DX100. And just the 1 unit. I did have previously. I had a homebrew AM setup, which consisted of 2 separate units, a transmitter and a modulator. So the modulator sat on the floor doing nothing, but the transmitter has gone back to operating as a linear amplifier on sideband. So a few changes in the shack. So there we are. I wonder what you're running there, Gerald. Still just under 10 over 9 in Bristol. Go ahead.
From G3 LEO. Okay, and so I think I understood you to say that the DX100 came from a chap called Ted, and that an ART13 also came from him, but to one of your Welsh friends. I think that's what you told me. It was just a burst of noise. There's nothing wrong with your signal, it's just that it was a local burst of noise. Very interesting. It's a lovely set. I mean, it looks good, doesn't it, the DX100? When you've got sitting in front of it, you know you're in front of a bit of wireless equipment. And with regard to my set here, this is the command transmitter. I just call them command transmitters. They've got a BC something or other number, but it's basically a pair of 1625s, screen grid modulated. So it's nothing particularly special, but I'm really very impressed with how stable they are. Okay, I've drifted very slightly LM, but not much, considering I've only just switched it on. Have you played around with command sets before, Ian, I wonder? Because they're really quite interesting. G3 LEO by?
G6 TBJ returning. Oh, I haven't actually. No, I have heard of them. I think Justin's got one, or he's got I think it's an American unit or something, aren't they? But I've heard of them, but if I'm honest, I haven't really had any exposure to those units. mostly sort of build things myself really, rather than play about with ready-built kit. So not familiar with those, but it's not sounding bad at all, Gerald. And if it's got a VFO, then it's pretty stable. So you're sounding good. Back to you.
From G3LEO. Yeah, thanks, Ian. Well, I think one of the attractive things is that they look like a brick. I mean, this particular one is all painted black in a box with the absolute minimum of controls out the front. And, you know, it's just a box. What was I going to say? Yeah, one of the faults with them is that they've just got a master oscillator driving the valves, and rather like 1154s, they do pull a bit, so I've done a few mods to try and reduce that. The other thing is there's stacks of room inside this black box to do mods, so I've actually put the screen grid modulator inside the box, and I've used a small 7-watt solid state kit, which of course is tiny and can easily be tucked in there. So there's definitely scope for homebrew if you've got one. Yeah, G3LEO, bye for you.
G6 TVJ returning. Yeah, okay, Gerald. You were swallowed up there by the evil QSB. Unfortunately, came and swallowed up most of that over. I just caught you at the end. So I think conditions are getting a little bit challenging there. Back to you.
Yeah, I agree with you. You came back towards the end there, but you were down at the beginning, so I think we'd probably wrap it up here, otherwise we'd lose each other. So good to hear you. Very nice to hear the DX100, and we'll run into each other again, I'm sure. So best wishes from Yorkshire, G3LEO signing with G6 TVJ. Bye for your final.
G6 TVJ. Yeah, okay, Gerald. All the best, and I'll catch you soon. 73 for now. G6 TVJ.
G4 Echo Juliet Mike again. Ian, and morning to you, Gerald.
Yeah, very Mike. I heard you finishing off with the
I'm sure about this, the mod on this, but I think it's okay.
Nice signal.
I don't know what you think, Gerald.
To say you're running a bit of
G3LEO, G4 Echo Juliet Mike.
Double there, Mike. Try again.
G3LEO listening for you.
Yeah, okay, Gerald. You're quite a good signal with me, Gerald. I just assumed you would be able to hear me okay. This is my 10-20 bone transmitter. I've been tinkering around with it a bit this morning, and I'm just trying to set the mod up properly on it, Gerald. So I think that's somewhere near about right, you know. Just let's see if you got me, Gerald. G3LEO, G4EJM.
G4EJM, G3LEO. Okay, Mike. Well, okay that it's your TT21 transmitter. Well, all I can say is it sounds absolutely spot on. Very nice quality, just like Ian's was. And although I've got no means of checking it, I would say it's very fully modulated and, you know, very nice balanced audio. So it's doing very well. I mean, you've had that a while, haven't you? And quite a few other home brews between you completing that and now. So okay that you've hung on to it and you're still enjoying it. You probably heard me telling you, and I'm still messing around with command transmitters, and this is not my cathode modulated one. This is another much more standard one, just screen grid modulated. G3LEO, bye for you, Mike.
G3LEO, G6 TVJ, Golf for Echo Juliet Mike. Oh, it sounds very good actually, Gerald. Sounds really good. Mod's nice communications quality modulation. It's a long time. I've got one of those actually, Joe. In fact, I might have a couple of them. But it's a long time since I messed about with one. Because most of them got ripped apart, didn't they? Modified in the early days. Command receiver as well, you know. Still got a couple of command receivers. I've got one of the one that comes along with, you know, where they use call it the Q5. Which you take the RAF output of a receiver and feed it into the command set and convert it into a double super edge, you know. Which I used to do with an AR-88. I'm not sure it was ever any help, but it certainly brought the gain up. Yeah, this transmitter I built in 2007. I wrote on the chassis actually. Look up, I did, because I didn't seem that long ago. September 2007 it was finished, and I've been using it ever since. Well, I was just telling you, I had a few problems with it, and I'm just sorting that out now. So it looks okay now. So it's getting towards building up my confidence to shoe all the thing back in its case. So there you go. Does it still sound all right to you, Ian? G6 TVJ, G4 Echo Juliet Mike.
G4 Echo Juliet, Mike from G3 LEO, Leo. Yeah, that's fine, Mike. Am I right in saying that when you built that TT21 transmitter, you used choke modulation on it, or had a large choke on the screen or something or other? I don't think it was absolutely dead standard classic plate and screen modulated, is it? G3 LEO by?
No, it's not. I was just describing it to you a little bit earlier, Gerald. This is the design that, or the idea that, it isn't the design, but the idea that Dave came up with, G40IX. And he put an article in Signal. It was probably in 2000 and must have been early 2007 or late 2006, something like that, you know. I thought, that looks a good idea, I'll make one of those, and what it does, it's a solid state modulator, so it's an FET amplifier, and the output of that goes into a mains transformer the wrong way round. It goes into a 6-volt heater winding on the transformer, and it's got a couple of caps back to back in series with that to help with the matching of it. And the mains winding on that transformer, one end of it's grounded, and the other end of it goes via a big paper cap. I can't remember if it's a 4 or 8 microfarad paper cap. And the other end of that cap goes to the top end of the RF choke for the TT21 PAs. And the HT is then fed to there via a 15 Henry smoothing choke. So the audio is actually developed across a 15 Henry smoothing choke, Gerald. And it's a cracking idea. All credit to Dave, you know, it works so well, and it's been great. It's been very reliable up to fairly recently. I had a couple of problems with it, which hopefully, well, I know they're resolved now, so things are looking better. Bronick got one, of course. I forgot his call sign now. Anyway, it doesn't matter, you know Bronick. And he built one along the same lines, you know, which is now scrapped and converted it to series modulation. But I think it's great, and it's amazing really that you can get such a lot of audio developed across a smoothing choke, you know. It's no modifications to the choke, it's just a smoothing choke, you know. So, and it works really well, Gerald. G3LEO, G4EJ.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Mike. I do remember that, and I remember at the time thinking, well, you know, that's a really good approach to decent AM, and you certainly have got very decent AM. Oh God, I've drifted. Hang on a sec. That's better. G3LEO returning to G4EJM. Well, I've used a bit of that principle on this command transmitter. I bought one of these 7-watt output transistor amplifier kits, which I think people sell for, you know, just general purpose stuff, and feeding that through a 6-volt 1-volt amp transformer, which of course is very small, with the grid of the 1625s in series with it, and the voltage on the the screen grids, of course, dropped to half. And you know, that the plus of that setup is that it's physically very small, and it can all be tucked inside the black box of the command transmitter, and you're not aware that there's too much 3-legged fuse work inside the box. I'm really quite pleased with it. But you're going to hang on to that transmitter, aren't you, Mike? That TG21. You're not going to pull it apart or anything like that, I hope. G3LEO, Mike.
No, not going to part no, I'll get on to it. And the reason I've been into it now is that it's back in a few days ago, and it was actually in the modulator, in the transistor, the modulator section. The diode had gone. So that's all. I'll fix that after quite a bit of messing about with it, and well, just even messing about, but quite a lot of sort of trying to trace the circuit and work out how it worked and what was happening and what was wrong. And it's a Maplin, PA in this one, Gerald, and it's got loads of FETs in the output. It's a stereo once, but I only use one channel. And the gain control on it, the volume control on it, is an electronic one. You know, so you've got a knob on the front, but it's not just like a conventional sort of volume control would be. You know, it operates some transistors, that operates some more transistors, that operates some more transistors, and turn the volume up and down. Nice and smoothly, of course, but it was in that circuit that it had gone wrong, and of course it was out of his box, and I was tinkering around with it and happened to see a tiny little spark inside out of the corner of my eye, and found a form that's been on for a while, which was one of the 3,300 microfarad caps that are in series with the output of the PA going to the 6-volt heater winding. The rivet and the tag on the cap had come loose, you know, so it was arcing there. So they've been replaced now, and everything looks hunky-dory again now, so that should be okay. And okay in the screen mod and everything, the other sorts of mod. I played with every kind of mod known to man. This is one of the best ones I've come up with, or Dave came up with. I think it's great. Saves the mod transformer. In fact, I'm thinking of building another transmitter now. I'm just toying with the idea. You know, I've got a TT100. In fact, I've got 2 of them. That gave me G1 EDP quite a long time ago, and I was debating yesterday whether to use a solid state modulator for that transmitter, or to use a proper mod transformer, which I've got a UN3, which isn't really up to the job, but I think they're well capable of being overrun quite a lot, you know, so I won't really worry too much about it. I'm just sitting on the fence at the moment, just thinking about it, you know. I've used my homebrew receiver as well, by the way, Gerald. It's the all-valve one, double superhead. I say all-valve, it's all-valve other than it's got a DDS for the first oscillator, which is fixed. because I didn't want to buy a load of crystals for it, and this is it covers 11 bands. So what you just do is dial in the frequency of the first oscillator, which is for 80 meters is 9 megs, and that just replaces the crystals, you know. And then it's got a conventional Eddystone tuned dial on the front, you know, and lots of numbers with all the facilities I can think of to put on it. It works really well. Okie dokie. I don't know whether Ian's gone now or what, but I'm going to have to go, Gerald. It looks like the transmitter's stable now, so I think I'll stop worrying about it now and see if I can slide it into its case and put the screws back in. So G3LEO, G4EJM, over.
G4EJM, G3LEO, that's very interesting. Could you just tell me again what that receiver is with the DDS instead of the crystals? I just missed what it was, Mike, before you go. G3LEO, listening for you.
Yeah, it's one I built in the last 12 months, Gerald. It's a double superhead, and it's all valves, other than the first oscillator, which is fixed, which should be a crystal oscillator, and you switch on the crystals to bring in the 500 kc bands, this has got 11 bands on it, all 500 kcs wide, you know, and the DDS just replaces the crystals, because I was too mean to buy some crystals for it, Gerald, and I got the DDS anyway. So, but it's all valves. Other than that, it's 455 kc IF on the last IF, you know, and it's you know, pretty conventional double superhead, really, Gerald. All self-contained, the power supply and everything on one chassis, and interesting thing, Gerald, with it. You told me about the locking thing. What's it called? Gee, I just can't think what it was called now. But you know, the thing you put across the VFO, because it stabilised the VFO pretty good. But the first 20 minutes or so, it was drifting a bit, you know. Anyway, I got one of those boards that you'd got, and hooked it up, and I put that in now, and it's rock stable now. And I've got mine set that I can tune it for 9 seconds, and if the tuning knob doesn't touch for 9 seconds, then it locks on that frequency, you know. It's obviously good. I'm really chuffed with it, so I appreciate you telling me about that, Gerald. G3LEO, G4 Echo, Juliet Mike.
From G3, how very interesting, Mike. And so you've got, apart from it being all home brew, which is jolly nice, and valve, you've got a huff puff on the on the VFO for it. Well, that's great. As you know, I'm quite an enthusiast for them. As you know, I've got one on the old 19 set, which works very well. But I just can't work out how you vary the control of that huff puff. There are those two little knobs, or, you know, press buttons, and you're supposed to push them and do this and do that, and change parameters like the time between applying correction pulses and things. I just can't work that out. You know, whatever I do to them, there doesn't seem to be much change in the way the huff puff is working. And I like the idea of using the DDS instead of a bunch of crystals. Mike, that's jolly good. I was thinking about receivers the other day, because I was on the internet and looking at the for sale, you know, the eBay stuff, and there was a board with all made up with all the band pass filters on it for the amateur bands, including the warp bands from Hong Kong or somewhere like that. Looked beautifully made, and you know, not an absolute arm and a leg price. And I thought, well, that would be, if you had one of those, it would save an awful lot of messing around if you wanted to build a receiver. So I've got that knocking around in the back of my mind, and I might actually put my hand in my pocket and get one. Okay, so I won't keep you, Mike. Good to hear you, and we'll be in touch. And I must say, when you said that you built that TT21 transmitter in 2007, I mean, that's 10 years ago, isn't it? It seems only like yesterday that that design came up. I mean, time really does fly, doesn't it? And I don't know when, you know, this interest in AM actually started off. But when you think about it, it's quite a time ago, and you must have been one of the very founder members, Mike. In any case, I won't hold you. All the best. See you soon from G3LEO.
G3LEO, G4EJM. Yeah, good coffee here, Gerald. Excuse me, I've got a bit of frog in my throat at the moment. And, well, this receiver's got one of those front ends in it, Gerald. My Mark 1 homebrew double super receiver is on the other side of the shack here. And I built the whole front end with that, and it's all 10 or 11 bands, you know. So that's a lot of coils, a lot of switching, and a lot of little buffers and things, you know, to get the thing working on all the bands. And it works fine, you know, it was good. In fact, actually, it's probably better than these bandpass filter types, because it's tuned, you know. But I saw these on the internet, and this was from a chap in Russia. I can't just remember his club sign now, but he was advertising on there, bandpass filters. And it covers the, I think it's about 10 bands, and I paid probably about 40 quid for it, dealing with something like that, Gerald, not quite 40 pounds I think, and it was an absolute bargain. And it's actually got a transistor preamp on the board as well, which is a big audio type. Not FET, just ordinary transistor, a big one, you know, with a big heat sink on it. And it works really well. I've had some problems with dry joints on it, but you know, there's the window cleaner. Just looking through the window here. Anyway, it saves a lot of trouble, makes it very easy to build a receiver then, Gerald, you know, so I'd highly recommend you get one of those. I don't know about the one from China or Hong Kong or wherever it is, but certainly this one works very well indeed. So there was some problem with dry joints on it. It's a relay switch, it's not direct switched. It's relay switched, and one of the problems was that where the relay pins go through the board, they were soldered on the bottom end, but it's double-sided 26. Some joints that weren't quite making on the top side, you know. So I have cheated and used that, you know. So the other one is all over the front end, and it took me ages to do that, you know. But this one, just screw it on the chassis and put it in a box and arrange the switching for the relays and things, you know. And I like using a pre-select type RF amp, you know, which is actually switched, the coils in that are switched by relays as well from the same band switch. So you just tweak up the sort of pre-select tuning when you're on frequency, you know. Well, that's an excellent thing, Gerald. It's great. I'm really chuffed with that. And I just followed the instructions. So I should read the again, Gerald, because you've got something wrong there. You have to get it into the programming mode first, somehow or other. I'd have to just read the book, but I just followed the instructions. I altered the time from their default time, you know, so I can, it's set for 9 seconds minus, which is the maximum it goes to. So you can sort of tune up and down all over the place, and if you leave it alone for 9 seconds, then it locks on the frequency then, you know, which is fine with me. But I didn't change any of the other parameters to my knowledge, I just left it all as it was, you know. Okay, I better go. I have to go and pay the window cleaner when he's done this job now, so I'm going to have a cup of tea as well. So, G3LEO, G4 Echo Juliet.
From G3LEO, yes, Mike. Well, that's all interesting. Have a look at this Chinese bandpass filter on eBay next time you're browsing or whatever. The thing I like about it is it's physically very compact. Doesn't actually give the dimensions, of course, but it just looks, you know, compared with the relays they use and the toroids, it just looks very compact, very neat. And okay, about the X-Lock, well, I mean, what you've got, the setting that you've got, i.e. the longest setting before it applies a correction, is really the ideal for people like us messing around with stabilizing old equipment, because you want to be able to tweak the tuning a little bit before the thing tries to stop you doing it, don't you? So I don't know, I just didn't seem to notice any particular difference whatever I did with these little buttons, but perhaps I'll come back and have another go at it. Best wishes, Mike. Don't come back, we'll see you soon. G3LEO off and clear.
Yeah, well, because you can see the difference with the green and red LED channel. It stays on red. It stays on green while you're tuning, and then 9 seconds later it goes to red. You know, so you'll know you've done it then. You know. Okay, okay. 73 Cheryl, thank you, Renata. If you're still listening, Ian, sorry about that. But 73, so I better go and sort out the window cleaner guy here. Be waiting for his money. Okay, 3 LEO, Golf 4 Echo Juliet Mike off and clear. Bye, Gerald.
Yeah, bye-bye, Mike.